streaming live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144, and on your digital TV because we are free to air and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The details now. Now, if you are a parent or a guardian, you must be concerned about this. Over 300 children are getting killed in Ghana through road crashes. That's according to the Building and Road Research Institute. Sadly, most of them are school children who are either going to school or returning from school. They are hit and killed as they attempt to cross the road or walk by the sides of the road. Senior Research Officer at the Building and Road Research Institute, Isaac Kofi Youngson, says it's time the entire country showed commitment to fighting this menace.
Interestingly, we had an average of 310 children dying every year. Death, 310. What that translates into is that if you have a class of 50 in let's say school B, class 150 up to class 6, every year you have class 1 to 6 pupils dying. So a whole school stream is wiped off every year. That is how serious the situation looks. Now, when it comes to policy making, I'm aware that before the recent educational reforms, the Ghana Education Service had in the syllabus of primary schools some form of road safety education. But was it done? Was it done? That is the big question. I have not apprised myself much about the current syllabi in the system as to whether road safety education is there or not. But I must say that all of us would have to set up. Policymakers would have to set up. Teachers need training. If the teacher has not been trained in road safety education, how does the teacher impart that knowledge to the child?
Now, what you just heard is one of the many shocking revelations in our latest Hotline documentary, Crushed, which airs a week today on the 12th of April. Do make a date with us. Now, still on road safety, the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority, DVLA, has over the years expressed worry about the number of unqualified drivers on our roads. Now, such people usually use the back door to acquire genuine licenses without sitting and passing any DVLA exams. This has been identified as one of the many reasons road traffic accidents are high in Ghana. Close to about 600 people have died so far this year. Now, as part of measures to curb this, the DVLA says it is now making it possible for people who cannot read or write English to still go through driving school, sit the exams, and be issued a license. Let's hear from DVLA's Director for Driver Training, Testing and Licensing, Kafi Semevo.
We, as a state institution or as playing the role of the state, keep on improving or reforming our policies depending on the situation so that we address the issues we see. So what we've done also is that after reforming the testing, we introduced the theory testing to assess the theoretical knowledge of drivers. Now, we looked at the test and we have said that after some time, there are people still out there who, it's not that they don't want to take the test, but because the test is administered in English, that is a barrier to them. What do? You now have to encourage compliance rather than sit down for them to offend the law and then you go after them. So what we have done is to say, okay, let's go back and see how we can also incorporate these people into our testing regime. So currently, we are reforming the theory test to introduce six local languages, which are Ga, Ewe, Dagbani, Hausa, Nzima, will be introduced. When this is done, we are confident and Chi, because that is it's a very common language spoken. And we are very confident that when we do this, those drivers who are driving with that driver's license, who trained from other sources that we are not aware of, and cannot access the services of the authority to obtain genuine licenses will now have the confidence to approach us. We test their skills, and then we can properly register this or license these drivers to be on our road. It is very important because if we do not do that, these drivers will continue to drive anyway until they are caught, they are out there, and they will be creating the problems they create.
Now, police are on a manhunt for a fetish priest who is alleged to have requested body parts from the two teenagers who murdered an 11-year-old boy in KASOA in the central region. The suspects, aged 16 and 17, are currently in police custody. They are alleged to have lured the deceased to an uncompleted building, hitting his head with a club, killing him instantly. According to them, a fetish priest in the Volta region told them to bring body parts for money. Here's Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Central Region Police Command, Sergeant Evans Anti, who says the suspects are still in their custody, but is calling on the general public to assist with further information which will lead to the arrest of the priest.
On the 3rd of April 2021, at 10:15 in the morning, the KASOA Divisional Police Command received a distress call that there has been a ritual murder at Coca-Cola near Lamtenios, a suburb of KASOA. The police proceeded to the crime scene and saw a young boy in a pool of blood in the uncompleted building. Initial investigations done by the police revealed that the deceased's name was Ishmael Mensah, who is of 11 years of age, and that on the same day, suspects Felix Nyako and Nicholas Kinney, aged 16 and 17 years respectively, lured the deceased to the uncompleted building and hit him with a club and cement blocks, killing him instantly. Suspects after that buried deceased in the uncompleted building, awaiting his removal in the night for ritual purpose. The body of the deceased has since been deposited at the police hospital mortuary, awaiting autopsy and preservation, while the suspects have been detained to assist police with investigation. Investigations are ongoing. Police would like to use this opportunity to urge the general public that whoever has information concerning the death of Ishmael Mensah should kindly go to any police station near them, or can go to the KASOA Divisional Police Command, or can call the toll-free number 18555 to assist the police with investigation.
Now, residents of the area where this incident occurred have served notice they will lynch the suspects if they are granted bail. Now, it's been days since the incident was first reported, but the shock is still fresh for many people. The question on a lot of minds is what will push these two young boys to do this to a 10 or 11-year-old for money, pressure, sheer wickedness, or name it. Well, Vice President of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry, suggests such acts are perpetrated by children with conduct disorder. She also suggests how the condition can be managed or treated. I spoke to her earlier on News Desk.
Risk factors for children developing this kind of conduct disorder or this kind of cruelty is more of societal, more of kind of upbringing they get. If children grow in a society, in a particular community where there's high rate of crime, high rate of deviancy, or they grow in a home in which the parents themselves are involved in some form of social vices or substance abuse, or there is conflict even in their upbringing. The mother says that this child should be caned for this disorder. The father says, "Oh, leave him, let him go. He is a small boy." When there's conflict in upbringing and stuff like that, these children are likely to end up with conduct disorder. So largely the cause of conduct disorder is more environmental.
So how do we manage or treat conduct disorder in children?
It is a lot of behavioral therapies. The clinical psychologists and child psychologists will handle such children. There is little room for using medications, and because it is a lifelong thing, if you don't treat them, like I said, it will progress. The moment they cross the 18th year, it changes, the diagnosis changes from conduct disorder to antisocial personality disorder. And of course, from the name, antisocial, they are anti whatever societal norms there are. And so basically they go through a lot of behavioral modification. Their parents are taken through therapy, how to raise these children up. The society at large is also has a role to play. They are encouraged to put up a lot of recreational facilities where these children can channel their energies into. There should be, for instance, a small stadium or a football park where these children can go and release their excess energy instead of channeling it into some of these crimes and deviant behaviors. There could be a library in the community where they can sit there and actually read and get more knowledge. And if you have society with these children and some of these recreational facilities are unavailable, it becomes a challenge. And so one of the strategies is to put up these recreational facilities in addition to managing the behavior, called it cognitive behavioral therapy. The behavior stands up from their mind, what their thoughts are telling them, and then the psychologists tend to modify it and then also involve their parents into the best way to raise them.
Still watching Joy News today. Let's do some politics now. And Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu has jumped to the defense of Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu following calls by some NDC members for his removal. Last week, some party members, including former MP for Kumungu, called for a total overhaul of the minority leadership for endorsing the finance minister's nomination, which they describe as betrayal. However, Mr. Iddrisu told journalists after a meeting with party's leadership that he is still in charge. Speaking on the probe on Joy News Channel Sunday, the majority leader told host MFR Pau the calls for Mr. Iddrisu's resignation are unfortunate.
I think it's most unfortunate. On these matters, it's most unfortunate that they have come under the gavel. I think it's most unfortunate. It's all because, as I said, people got excited and agitated with the election of Bagbing that they were going to have their day every time that they wished, which is not coming out. And they think that because of that, they are compromised.
There are calls for his resignation.
That is their internal party matter that I don't want to comment on, except to say that it would be most unfortunate if it should happen. Why? Because I would say that Haruna is one of their best materials. One, in terms of articulation, in terms of experience, in terms of knowledge, in terms of depth, in terms of balance. My own problem with him is that sometimes I tell him that, look, as a minority leader, he must be consistent, he must be coherent. So, and it happened the other time. For instance, when we are closing, we just get up and we'll be talking to issues. You know, they are staccato approach, you know. So we touch base on this matter, then you move to another matter. So I tell him, as a minority leader, please sit down, then craft your speech so that you are consistent. You have that flow. The last time, Tuesday, I was most impressed. So when I was making my own concluding remarks and Suhini said something, I had to respond. Then he was telling me that I should keep to my test. And we all laughed about that.
Yeah.
So, but Haruna is a brilliant guy.
Well, the majority leader is unhappy with the appointment of the NDC's General Secretary onto the Parliamentary Service Board. According to him, Mr. Johnson Esidu Nketiah's membership on the board has the potential of affecting the integrity of Parliament. He indicated that he had no qualms with the former MP for Winchi West as a person, but the fact that he still holds a position as General Secretary of the NDC is a great worry to him.
Esidu Nketiah, as being a member of Parliament, right, and one-on-one he's an intelligent person, and maybe if he has to contribute to developing Parliament, he could. My worry is his current position as the General Secretary. It's never happened in the life of Parliament before, right? Especially when we have a very intrusive General Secretary, when even in the course of normal business of Parliament, you come and sit there to ensure that his people vote in a certain direction.
What are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything but I'm afraid for Parliament. See, these are the little steps that we take that affect the integrity of Parliament. In the former Soviet Union, You know, in the Soviet system, the socialist communist systems, the secretaries general of political parties were the ones who emerged as presidents, right? So all their presidents have been secretary general for their party. Now, because they say they are, of course they have one-party states, because they say their parties are people's parties, the assistant secretary then is put into parliament to be the speaker of parliament. So they control everything, including even the judiciary. And that is not good enough. Democracies don't behave that way.
While acting on recommendations from an advisory committee on the constitution of the Service Board, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin on March 29 approved a 6-member parliamentary service board, which includes chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, Hackman Owusu-Agyemang, and the NDC's Johnson Esiedun Ketia. The 4 other members are MP for Swami Osei Mensah Bonsu, Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu, former Majority Leader Abraham Osei, the clerk to Parliament, and the Speaker as its chairman. Despite the concerns raised, the Speaker insisted that Mr. Esiedun Ketia met the necessary criteria and therefore his unwavering decision to appoint the former MP for Wenchi West onto the board. Or Mr. Mensah Bonsu laments how Parliament under Mr. Bagbin is gradually becoming an enclave for the National Democratic Congress.
That Haruna, when I engaged him, told me that, you know, he was under pressure to fill somebody. He didn't mention the name of Esiedun Ketia to me. Later on, about a week after, it was Alban who told me that Esiedun Ketia's name had come for them to. And I said, oh, but where from this? You don't think this is going to be one too much? Because these are the things that we do. It will mean that we are putting Parliament in the armpit of one political party. Because for the first time in the history of Ghana,
the Speaker from the NDC,
you have brought in Kofi Ato, who is the vice chairman of the party. And you are saying that is a...
You brought him as what?
His advisor. So Kofi Ato is there. He's brought in 2 former
We're
MPs.
told Ken Jirasa is also there.
Come again?
We're told there are others. Ken Jirasa is part.
I don't know of Ken. I don't know of Ken.
Who are the other 2?
Amwate is, and Shaibu, Daboya Mankarago.
What are they doing in the Speaker's office?
He says he's bringing them on as advisors. So you have these 2 former MPs, and then you have Kofi Ato, vice chairman of the party, Esiedun Ketia, general secretary of the party, and a former, I think he didn't have an official position, but more or less, unofficially, everybody knew that he was a communicator for the party.
Who's that?
Gayhat Mensah.
Okay. Also coming as what?
Yes, he's also coming as to the Speaker's office. So you are turning that place into an enclave for the NDC. There's one other guy whose name I've forgotten. He was a very usual panelist at Radio Gold. He's also coming there. I think I understand he says he wants to make him his communicator, his communications officer or something. So some of us thought that no, this is one too much.
Have you raised concerns about it?
I have. I've told him that, Mr. Speaker, where we are taking Parliament to, I think if you are not careful, this whole thing would collapse on all of us.
But you know that the party...
But he's told me that we need to talk about it.
Okay.
But we've not seriously.
So after...
Thank you for staying here on Joy News today with me, Bernice Abubeidolan. So still to come, no cause for alarm. Fisheries and oceans expert tells fishermen after some dolphins and several species of fish washed ashore on beaches of some coastal cities this weekend.
We shouldn't purchase fish that is so cheap. Such fishes will be sold very cheaply. We all know the normal average rough prices of fish. So if you see somebody selling a very huge, high class fish for very cheap, you must question it.
This is News Today with me, Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. Thank you for staying on. Now, fishermen at coastal cities where several species of fish and dolphins were washed ashore over the weekend are free to ply their trade. Professor Francis Nunu, senior lecturer at the Department of Fisheries and Marine Science at the University of Ghana, says the sea has a natural cleansing mechanism.
Fishermen are safe, but they should catch wholesome fish. They can go to sea, but catch wholesome fish.
Prof, how do they determine if the fish is wholesome? You've given us a lot of reasons why we are seeing what we are seeing, and one of them was algae blooming. You mentioned that, which creates poisoning in the water. So how do I know if the fish I'm catching has come into contact with that poison, and as at the time of being caught had not yet died? How do they determine the wholesomeness of the fish?
The gills are red and fresh, but if the fish has some smell as well as have some spots, or the gills are not as red as it's supposed to be, the fishermen have ways of telling that this is not a freshly caught fish. It's not a wholesome fish. So look at the telltale signs on the fish, especially look at the gills.
Going to the seashore, you see some of these fishermen come with tons of fish. Are they going to go through each of them to say, and my question to you is, isn't it safe to give ourselves a certain period for which we can determine the exact cause before saying it's safe for a fisherman to go back?
Hopefully by tomorrow, various reports from various incidents will come out. My department, the Department of Marine and Fisheries Science of the University of Ghana, is collaborating with IESS of the same university. We have taken samples, and as at now, we are almost at the lab analyzing them. The Fisheries Commission has taken samples, the FDA and others, GSA, have all taken samples, and various labs are really on the spot working. So we are hoping that latest by tomorrow or even by close of day, we can pinpoint something. But for now, to avoid panic, people can go about their normal business, and the situation is not as you know, because the outpour of the fish have ceased for now. It's not continuously. It's that one day that it came in, so it has ceased. So for now, we will say that the sea is okay, people can go fishing. But
we know that some people would want to cash in on the situation. So if I'm going to the market, what should I also be looking out for to be sure that I am purchasing fish that is wholesome?
Yes, we shouldn't purchase fish that is so cheap. Such fishes will be sold very cheaply. We all know the normal average rough prices of fish. So if you see somebody selling a very huge, high class fish for very cheap, you must question it.
Well, as you just heard, other authorities are warning the public to exercise caution in purchasing strange fish on the market. Mamiesi Thompson visited the Osu Beach Sunday and filed this report.
Large volumes of poisoned fish washed ashore right here where I'm standing, and further off yesterday morning, even till now. We cannot see most of them here right now because the women have cleared it and some have been buried to prevent people from taking them or sending them onto the market.
The fish, seen in various sizes, were scattered along the shore of the Osu Beach. Some residents were seen gathering them, though skeptical about its wholesomeness. A resident who spoke to Joy News recounted what happened.
I'll say we saw this yesterday around 10 a.m. But normally this used to happen seasonally. So we thought it's normal, as we know. But later we find out that it's not normal because the number of fishes that are coming out and the way they are washing out from the sea is not normal. At that time, people have already collected some to market and other places consume it. We thought it will end, but this morning we realized it still continues. So we have to come and stop everybody from picking it.
Chief fisherman for the area, Tete Apo Jamloja VI, is worried consumers may no longer want to purchase their catch. Given that there was such clamor for this fish at the beach yesterday, it is possible it has already made its way onto the market. The Municipal Health Directorate and the Ghana Standards Authority are said to have taken samples for investigations. The Municipal Chief Executive of Clote Kole, Nia Ajay Teria, says the Assembly has taken some steps to ensure that people don't consume it.
We are stopping people from taking the fish from here. We've gone on air to explain to the public. Also, we have our public address systems, vans going out to announce that if people bring fish into the townships, etc., to sell their cheap or whatever, they shouldn't be patronizing it because of this.
But do you know of any all over from here to the Independence, all the way to La?
Away from our seashores, the people of BULU'S in the Sisala West District are demanding answers from the road and health ministers on the state of their health facilities and road networks. There's outrage among residents that not a single road network in the home of the former president's hometown has been tarred. The Member of Parliament for the area, Mohammed Adams Supura, has filed an urgent question in Parliament demanding answers to what he terms unjust treatment meted out to residents. There's more in this report.
This sums up the frustration of the representative of the Sisala West people in Parliament, who is enraged about the neglect of former President Hillary Liman's hometown in the Upper West region. Roads are not motorable and often flooded when there's a downpour. The health sector is in a deplorable state. The Member of Parliament for Sisala West constituency, who has filed a question on the deplorable nature of the road networks and the health facility in his area, said no health personnel is accepting posting to the constituency.
Sisala West, like I said, is between several constituencies or several districts. And if for nothing at all, at least those roads leading to other districts should be tarred. Most especially Goluwa Road. This is a road that almost everybody in the constituency, because Wa is our capital town for Upper West. Almost everybody in Golu, either you are, if you are traveling to down south, you definitely have to use that road, and it's a challenge for us. So we think that not just that, Sisala West, if it comes to agric, and in terms of maize farming and all of that, they do a lot of farming in that area, and sometimes to even transport the farm produce to the market center to be able to sell the farm produce, it's a problem. And sometimes to even transport the farm produce from their farms to their various community, it's a problem, because the roads, you cannot just, it's a serious challenge. I wish if you had got the opportunity to visit the constituency, you would have attested to the fact that, in fact, we really need help when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to professional accepting posting. Talked about nurses, talked about teachers. Even when they accept initially, when they get to know that this is how the place is, you see them running, looking for transfer out of the district and all of that. And this has been a challenge. And so I think that in order to address all these challenges, it is for us.
Now, founder of the Saint Immaculate Widows Association, Reverend Sister Gabriela Nona, has appealed to major stakeholders in the land sector, especially traditional rulers in the Upper West region, to make available to them not only farmlands, but lands that are fertile. The Reverend Sister said oftentimes widows face difficulty in accessing farmlands, and when they do, they are only given lands that are infertile. This usually ends with low yields. She made the plea at a ceremony where some food items, used clothing and mattresses, valued at over thousands of Ghana cedis, were donated to the association at Dafiama in the Upper West region. Our Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Founder of the St. Immaculate Widows Association, Reverend Sister Gabriela Nona, paints a mental picture of the squalid and inhumane treatment women go through in the Dafiama enclave after the loss of their husbands.
Nowadays, when a man dies, they don't care for the widow. They say that They cannot get care for their own children. How can they be able to care for somebody's children?
As a result of that, 26 years ago, she founded a association at the Fiema to at least help the widows to live a dignified life, who they now join in droves. The membership of the St. Immaculate Widows Association is now pegged at 888, a tax too huge for only one person to bear. That huge burden could easily have been lessened, according to Reverend Sister Gabriela Nonnan, if the widows have access to not only farmlands, but lands that are fertile.
These people have to suffer to get a land. They always took the land that which is fertile and give them places which is not fertile. They make only bamboo beans, some small groundnuts, some rice. The rice also cannot do if the rain is not going very well. And this little food, they also try to feed their children. They are not lazy. I let them train. Each one to train something. Don't sit down, put your hand under their laps and sit down like that waiting that we have to do something before we eat.
While they praise and wait with bated breath for the status quo to change, private legal practitioner, lawyer Teddy Sori, and Mommy and Me donated bags of rice, sugar, cartons of coconut oil, mattresses, and used clothes to enable them celebrate the Easter. The donation, according to lawyer Teddy Sori, is the third in as many years.
We pray and hope that we are able to develop this thing into something more sustainable that makes the widows grow a little bit independent and are able to do something more for themselves and for the communities that they belong to. During this period of Lent, we are encouraged to be charitable, and we are happy that a charitable institution supports this program every year during this period of Lent.
A representative of Mommy and Me, Joe Ampendako, expressed joy for the collaboration between his outfit and that of Lawyer Teddy Sori, which has brought smiles to the faces of the widows.
Before I end, glad that this presentation is not made to only Catholic women here, which is very important that as even the Catholic Church stands, all the women here comes from all facets of society, and we are most grateful that, Reverend Sister, we are grateful that you have been able.
Well, we take you back to our coastline because the Greater Accra Region Minister is touring or inspecting our coastline in a military chopper as part of efforts to get people to stay away from the beaches. Imagine they're somewhere in the air. That will bring you details on this in subsequent bulletins. You're watching News Today. Coming up shortly, we've got business news to stay.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Ghana Union of Traders Association is expressing worry that the inability of some West African countries to implement the trade liberalization scheme could undermine the smooth development of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. According to the union, Benin and to some extent Nigeria have not been complying with the trading rules, a situation it fears may undermine the trade pact. Vice President of GUTA, Clement Boateng, has been speaking with Joy Business.
Allow the Francophone countries to bring in the goods there without paying tariffs, but when the Anglophone countries bring in their goods, you want them to pay tariff. So nothing has been done to it, and we want the authorities to try as much as possible and address this problem, because it's having a very negative impact on our businesses.
As an organization, have you engaged the authorities officially on it?
Well, we have not engaged officially. We have not engaged the authorities officially, but I'm sure the AGI, that is the Association of Ghana Industries, have officially notified government, and as the days go by, I'm sure Guta will also officially write to government to let them know what is actually happening.
Do you see that as a stumbling block for the after as well?
Yeah, it's a stumbling block, because you know, I made a point that we live in Africa, and in Africa everything is possible. I don't think this can happen in Europe, because in Europe, once you have appended your signature to any protocol or any convention, you are obliged to, abide by it. But if you come to Africa, it's a different ball game altogether. Even though you have appended your signature to the protocols and convention, you acted contrary to it, and that has been the case of Nigeria, which they think they are the big powers in the sub-region, and they don't mind whether they've appended their signature to the protocols. With the ETLS, they have banned about 41 items, which they think they are protecting their local industry, and therefore they should not be allowed, to be brought into their country. And now Benin also is following suit. I think it's not good, and it's about time the ECOWAS authorities have a look at this thing. Otherwise, it will come to a time that even though all the countries have signed on to the protocols, every country will try as much as possible to go contrary to it in order to protect its local industry, and therefore the protocols that they have signed become useless.
Now, government is being urged to invest in acquiring the services of organizations which are well equipped to protect the country's cybersecurity space. According to the chief executive of IT firm Slam Technology, Samuel Boateng, even though the country has enough policies to regulate the cyberspace, there's a need to employ entities with the technical know-how to enforce these policies. He spoke at a help desk training offered by his outfit, which equipped about 70 Ghanaian youth with IT skills at no cost.
In Ghana, I believe there are a lot of policies, but there are not enough doing. And so I believe that if we talk about policies and implement it with the monitoring, we'll be able to sweep off the nation and then get rid of maybe some cyber attacks and other things that goes on in our infrastructures. I believe Ghana is getting a lot of fundings, but it depends on the way and then the kind of training that they are putting it out there. And some of the fundings definitely, I believe, goes to the government for training cybersecurity, and that is why government is setting up a lot of cybersecurity centers. But then we need the right company, right organization to train them. It's not everyone that says I'm a cybersecurity organization that understand the workings of a cyber. Performing a very deep, insightful analysis on a log, identifying the patterns of the attacks. So Slam Technology is here. That is what we do best on this. We take the logs, we ingest it, and then identify every traffic pattern that is coming from, and then we can stop it, we can block it, and or reduce the attack. If you've been to outside the country, every organization have their cybersecurity infrastructure. So if we have a state, the state will have their infrastructure as well. So the same thing in the region, we should have the infrastructure, and we should be able to organize the right people to do the investigation on those logs.
There's plenty more business news coming up on the marketplace. Do make a date. Up next, sports.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the sports segment on Joy News today. I am Muftau Nabila Ablai. FIFA and CAF referees, instructor and assessor Alex Cote reckons Charles Bulu is not at risk of losing out on officiating matches at the top level after collapsing in an AFCON 2021 qualifier. Bulu collapsed whilst officiating an African Cup of Nations qualifier match involving Ivory Coast and Ethiopia. There are fears that his chances of handling matches at the top level have come to an end. However, referees manager of the Ghana FA, Alex Cote, who is also a CAF and FIFA referees instructor and assessor, says he still has a chance of getting opportunities at the top. Bulu was unable to complete an African Cup of Nations qualifier involving Cote d'Ivoire and Ethiopia. With barely 10 minutes to end proceedings, the Ghanaian referee appeared to have felt dizzy and needed the support of players before medics took care of him. Referees manager of the Ghana Football Association, Alex Cote, attributed his inability to complete the game to dehydration.
I don't have problem when you talk about fitness. In fact, anytime you call him to come around, he'll come around. I mean, the guy is always fit. I mean, he's a migration officer, and so training-wise and whatever. I mean, he goes to the gym. He's always training. So for me, fitness was not his issue. From my chat with them, they left their hotel around 9:30 in the morning. The match was at 1 p.m. Very sunny, hot weather. So they took their breakfast right around 9, and they had to leave the hotel around 9:30. So here is a match we are playing at on that hot weather, 1 p.m. with just breakfast. Maybe they could have organized some fruits with them and then try to take it and then drinking more water. Okay, because if they knew the time of the match, the only thing they should have been doing was to take in more liquid and more fruit, just to replenish the energy and that sort of thing. Basically, it has to be dehydration for.
Concerns have been raised about the fitness of Charles Bulu. Many have said that his failure to see off a 90-minute football match could affect him in subsequent FIFA and CAF assignments. However, Alex Cote insists this was probably a one-off and he's confident that it wouldn't affect the Ghanaian referee.
No, I don't think so. I think that what FIFA and CAF has requested for is for his medicals to be sent to them, and so we will send it. I mean, we have his medicals and everything here, and I believe that even at the hospital, the doctors would also even have to give a report about him, and so I don't think that is a risk at all. I mean, these are things that happen in association sports, you understand, and football is not an exception.
Charles Bulu is an immigration officer and also a FIFA and a CAF referee. The incident witnessed last week shows that the Ghana Football Association and the referee committee must ensure Ghanaian referees are given the needed training and medicals. Now let's come back to Ghana. Former Ghana defender Frimpong Manso believes that Ghanaian football clubs can only win continental title in decades' time with proper planning and strong financial backing. The last time a Ghanaian football club won a continental title was in 2005 when Hearts of Oak defeated rivals Asante Kotoko in the final of the maiden edition of the CAF Confederation Cup. The former cornerstone and Asante Kotoko defender Manso is, however, certain that with proper structures, success wouldn't be out of their reach.
But on the whole, looking at our Ghanaian clubs, judging from the way they are playing, how soon do you think that a Ghanaian club can win a continental title again? From what we are doing,
maybe we should be looking around maybe 10 years time, and even with that. Unless we have to change the way we do things. Do we have the financial capacity? Because if you want to win the Africa, you need minimum $5 million and above, and then with the good planning too, if we are able to do. And do we have that capacity? No. Can we pay a player for, say, $5,000 a month? No. So it's going to be very difficult for our clubs to win, not to compete. We can compete, but winning is going to take more than that. But who knows, maybe going forward things will change, and then we can get people to help, or companies to help to achieve those targets.
That's all time will permit us here for sport with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. However, at exactly 2 p.m., we will bring you a documentary of the Olympic genes. It has to do with a family that have had every single member of that family participate in the Olympic Games representing Ghana. That comes up at 2 p.m. on Sports Today. The news continues.
Thanks for making time to watch this edition of Joy News Today with me, Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. From my entire team, we wish you the very best of the rest of the day. Enjoy the holidays. Up next is the Marketplace. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abubedu-Lansa.